Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Flash, and thank you for joining me for another Marvel Snap video. I appreciate y'all so much coming back, checking things out. Now, we have another deck here on this one. This one is leaning a lot into the Surge and the Kitty, Elsa, Angela, all that stuff, etc., etc. I got an inclusion here that is not what is usually in this deck. Come and check it out, and let's take a ride. All right, before we get into the meat and potatoes of this, you know what we do here. Let's pause, take a second. I very much appreciate it if you just hit this video with a like. Take that, just that extra second, and help me out. Help the algorithm out. Algorithm. Yeah. Anyway, this deck here is the commonplace Surge kind of buff things that are on the board deck, right? Surge and Galacta and Gwenpool. These things are Gwenpool's buffing stuff in your hand. Surge is buffing stuff on the deck. Elsa, not Surge, I'm sorry. Galacta is buffing stuff on the board with Elsa. Bloodstone is doing that as well. Angela is getting up in power. She's getting, you know, buffed. Kitty's getting buffed every time she comes back to the hand. Now Surge is buffing cards right now. It's just cards that are in your deck, right? The next card off the top is getting that one power buff. One thing I did here is that I wanted to take kind of one of the swing spots and make it Prodigy. I thought about Esme Cuckoo, but I'm like, what's the real payoff there? It feels like you're just shoehorning in it. Now Prodigy, I think, could have some interesting benefits here if Prodigy ends up copying like a Jeff, or hell, even a Kitty, something that could get buffed, that is receiving a buff from Elsa, giving you, right, a proc on a Hope lane or an Angela proc that can then clear out of the lane. Currently, you only have Jeff and Kitty that are doing that. Now, Prodigy can now, in certain circumstances, represent a third thing that can now move out as well, which can be very strong. I've seen an uptick in a little bit of clog in my games, so there's that as well. Now, the swing spot, in my opinion, could end up being, I cut Enchantress. I know, it's like, what? I think you can cut Enchantress. I wanted to maybe cut Scarlet Spider, but then I feel like you're losing a lot of power if you cut something like Scarlet Spider, right? Because especially when you get Scarlet Spider on the board, and I've had Scarlet Spider be a 4/9, and your opponent just doesn't know what to do with that. I've had a lot of retreats on turn 6 because your opponent's like, okay, there's now another 9 power card that I have to contend with, and that's very strong, can win you a lot of games. But I think Prodigy might be, I'll play around with it, but I think this is a good spot where Prodigy can either maybe replace an Enchantress or Scarlet Spider. And it really depends. Like, you're running into so much ongoing still. And I'm not talking about the Thanos ongoing, just that. There's a bunch of other stuff out there as well, where Enchantress is like, nah, I can't cut Enchantress. Then don't. Maybe try cutting it with Scarlet Spider. You can't cut Galacta or Gwenpool because they're integral to the things getting buffed up. You know, it's kind of centric nature of this deck. Yeah, so, but that's, like I said, it's Kitty. You have Zabu here because Zabu, you have Force, and you have 3 of them. You have at least 3. Before cutting Enchantress, there were 4, but now there's that. It's really 3 is the bare minimum, but you have all of that. You have Surge, you know, kind of taking down the cost, upping power. Angela's getting power. Kate is a card that you could probably cut, but if you're cutting Kate for Prodigy, then you're kind of making your curve weird, and this deck likes to be as low to the ground as possible. So maybe a slot to play with. Yeah, I have Jeff, of course, for obvious reasons. Elsa, Hope, core to the archetype. I spoke about Prodigy before. Galacta, Gwenpool, integral pieces here, and I almost think Scarlet Spider is intricate, but I could be swayed. I could be swayed there otherwise. That's it. That's the deck. There is no, you've seen this deck before, okay, in different forms. Like I said, I have the Prodigy here to add a different avenue that I haven't seen explored, but we'll see. From here, let's just get straight into, I guess, gameplay, huh? All right, so let's get a few of these things in here. These will be high infinite gameplay, right? I'm infinite, post infinite, whatever. What my rank is not really that relevant, honestly. Let's get down Kate here. I want to try to make as most usage as I can. Oh, destroy gamer. That I can of Wolverine. I mean, Wolverine. Of Prodigy. Not here, naturally. Here's the problem with the arrows. They're going to get destroyed. There's no two ways about that. I'm not gonna be able to do anything about that. So it's a tricky thing about destroy games. All right, which Nico ability is that? It's the location change ability. Okay. All right, this could be interesting. Now I don't have any counter tech to deal with any of that stuff. Here's a good Prodigy play. Okay, good is not the right word I wanted to use there. Because not being able to get back into White Hot Room is trash. This would have been a good Prodigy play otherwise if I had like Kitty here or Jeff Pryor or something like that. Let's just get Jeff down here, and I can still do the Surge thing after, but we'll see. Let's get basic arrow and down over here and see what happens. So we already both get the benefit of White Hot Room. The location will change. Left arm for our Shang-Chi here. Master of the 10 Rings. Oh, that's wonderful. So I don't get my stuff to go off. Fabulous, which kind of really changes the dynamic of the gameplay here. Not in my favor whatsoever. Oh man, this is not good. That's like the worst possible situation I could have asked for there. But it's okay. In not a good way. It's okay, not in a good way. So let's see what happens here. With the lone Deathlock, Killmonger that actually is now minimized because of Lemuria, so kind of does me a little bit of a favor, but not a huge favor. We're not completely cooked out of this yet. It really depends on what our opponent draws here. Okay, so because of Prodigy, we can get another 6 plus the 1 from Angela here. We can get 7 back into this lane. That's not enough to overtake the lane, right? Because once Jeff comes out, we're talking 8, 10 plus said, 6, 7. That's only 17. We're gonna have to try to win another lane, which I don't feel great about trying to do. Yeah, this is gonna be tough. Zabu here. Get this going here. I mean, I can't really. I have to just hope that the spider doesn't go mid, and I can try to get as much as I can into these other lanes. Sometimes, a lot of times, you have to play the 50-50. They also have to assume that I might have enough power to clear this lane. In which case, let's test fate. Because given the type of deck that I'm playing, they could very well make the assumption that I can get enough power into the middle lane to overtake it. With like, okay, or not. They'll just do that. That's not a bad play. It's risky, but it's not the play I would have made as a destroy player. The smart money is to try to get some other power there. Otherwise, assume I have enough to mid, right? Because of the type of deck, but they guessed. They took a shot in the dark and it paid off. What can I say? That happens a lot in this game. That's just how the cookie crumbles. And whether or not this deck overperforms for you or doesn't, I think what remains is at the core of this is the thing you've seen before and something that you can have fun with. You can have fun moving the pieces around in a way where, even though it's like, oh, well, that's not the most optimal way to do this, who cares? What's the most fun that you want to have, right? You want to find a reason to use Prodigy? Here you go. It doesn't always have to be about the most or the best optimization possible. Just do something and have fun with it. Will I tell you putting Enchantress back in is probably a good idea? Sure. Here's what you're gonna hate for sure. is when I tell you, could you just fit a Shang-Chi in here and go off to the races with that? Yes. Actually, let me get Hope down. Sure, you could do that. Again, most people are not going to enjoy that answer. Okay. Let's go Angela Prodigy. And now we're copying Hope, which is very good. Yeah, let's go Angela Prodigy. I like that. It's not bad because then we can follow up with Galacta Jeff. That's not a bad situation. Yeah, we're playing High Evo. Long forgotten thing that isn't good most days nowadays. Okay. Ooh, Elsa's nice. The Elsa Bloodstone is very nice. We still have to go Jeff, but Elsa is nice. This kind of leaves Scarlet Spider. Now, this is what I was gonna alleviate towards saying in the, or allude, during the deck breakdown, is that this is the part that I left out, is that Scarlet Spider is near useless to you in its functionality if you don't play it on turn 5. It's completely useless in functionality if you don't play it on turn 5. At that point, it's just power, which is fine, but you could maybe find something else that's doing more than that. What do you think? They throw a negative zone here? I'm asking you like you can respond. I think not. So I'll tell you what. Here's the plan. Let's get Elsa down. Well, they might. In which case, I really... The problem that I've backed into here is that you can only get one. If we play Elsa here because of, you know, the extra power she has on her, we're only getting one other their Elsa buff. Which honestly is not the best case scenario. So that being said, here's the plan. Because I can't throw negative zone entirely, right? I have to put something there. So let's put Scarlet Spider here. Let's put Elsa here and Kitty here. The problem is that we have to hope that the one lane that one of the other lanes we can win somehow. Evo, which they win that lane, and A-Bomb, they win both lanes. Okay, fair enough. How did High Evil get to 11? Can we unpack that? Oh, well, he's getting the buff from Metropolis because he happens to be the biggest thing there. Fascinating. Because he got that surge buff. Fascinating. This is why also, depending on your circumstance, Master of the 10 Rings can be your best friend, as it always is. Okay. Round up another one here. Look, Zabu turn 1. Very good. Can't ever argue with that. You don't ever not like Zabu on turn 1. It's the best feeling when you're playing a Zabu deck. Unfortunately, Galacta decided she wanted to show up early, but you still have Scarlet Witch and Gwenpool to fall back on here. Scarlet Witch, Scarlet Spider. All right. Hotel Inferno, great, perfect. This is a good curve. We're curving out very nicely here. Don't have to play Jeff earlier than we want to. We got Kate. Let's drop it on Hotel Inferno. Great. This is probably a snap condition, the way this is setting up, but we'll see. I would like this not to clip one of my 4s, would be nice. Got rid of their Sage, and there goes my Gwenpool. Great. The thing I would have absolutely just played on this turn right here, gone. Now, okay. Let's go Elsa. Now, of course, we're running in dead smack into maybe a Mr. Negative game. You know, they had Sage, they had the Psylocke, the Cassandra Nova. There's a lot of ooh. No, that's greedy. So we just Galacta, and then we're gonna off to the races. Okay, see, like I said, it's shaping up to be everything Mr. Negative. Now we can't beat this. We just have to hope that they draw poorly. That's all you're hoping for in a game against Mr. Negative. You're just hoping that they draw poorly. That's your best recourse. That's sad, right? You're just like, oh, I hope they draw bad. Like, okay, that's okay. We can get a copy of Zabu. Zabu, we can that Scarlet Spider off the top. That further discounted Scarlet Spider would be really nice. Second Galacta is also very good here, honestly. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. That's tempting me. That's very tempting. Might have to take it. I might have to take it. That's a temptation. I might not be able to go by the wayside. Let's see. So far, so good. Again, we can't beat Mr. Negative. That's the problem. We just have to hope that... Now, going into turn 6, the fact that they haven't played Mr. Negative is very good for us. That's a best case scenario. Like, oh, they haven't played the Mr. Negative. Great. Angela. Kitty. Send this over. We're talking about some stuff. Now, once you've reached this point versus a Mr. Negative situation, you can almost snap here because they haven't played the negative. They haven't, there's no, you know, they're not hitting their draws, needless to say. The gore, they can copy that. I would have snapped there otherwise. So now we have to deal with a copied gore, which is, now we have a problem. Now we have a bit of a problem because they go for that in the left lane. Smart money is they go for that in the left lane. Thankfully, we're not putting any on reveals on the board, so that's something that's in our favor, right? Yeah. My hope is that they just throw mid. Okay, so that's again best case scenario, throw mid there. We still probably don't win, but and we get damn close, that's for sure. So we know how good a copied Mystique or just Taskmaster. Okay. And there's the Mr. Negative eventually, way later than they wanted. But yeah, look. Victory. While we did, like I said, squeak this one out, it's a Mr. Negative game that you would have lost there otherwise every time if they hit the stuff that they need to hit early. But this is good. Like I said, this can dig you out of it. And look what the Prodigy copying Galacta is what got us over the top. Ultimately, that's what won the game. Aside from all the other things happening that would happen there otherwise, a copied Galacta here is where all this extra power comes from. The extra power on Hope, the extra power on Angela. That's where all this comes from to make that dub, what we needed to tie the left lane, possible. Am I telling you that's the end all be? Yeah. Would Enchantress just have worked well here to shut the gore off? Of course it would have. And they don't get the Taskmaster play. But again, that's up to you and what your matchups are and what you're seeing in your pocket meta. So let's close this out. All right, everybody. So that was the deck. Thank you for hanging out, checking things out. And I said over the course of games, not just the games that you watch here, but before that, I was running like a high 60-ish% win rate with this deck. It's very good. Once you learn the play lines of what you want to do and different tweaks that you want to make to the deck to make it your own, have at it. All right. But that's it. That's all for this video. I will catch you guys on the next video with some more wonderful Marvel Snap content. I am Flash. This is the Midnight Gang, and we are signing out. Peace.